Welcome to St. Louis Cardinal baseball. It's been a weekend celebration for the Giants as they play host to the St. Louis Cardinals from AT&T Ballpark right here in beautiful San Francisco. A couple of walk-off wins for the Giants. Veteran Aaron Rowan was the hero in Game 1. In Game 2 last night, Miguel Tejada, another veteran, fly ball double, sends the Cardinals home a loser for the second straight day. Welcome to the telecast. Rick Horton alongside Al Raboski. And Al, two very tough losses, obviously, for the Cardinals. How do you rebound from them?
Well, you have to. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. This is the big leagues. The one advantage the Cardinals have today is they can look at the middle of the lineup and they see Holiday's name there. That will be in itself. That'll be a big load to this offense. This ball club obviously is not playing well, but 3 times they were within 1 out of a victory. They lost all 3 of those games.
Hoping for some offense from Holiday and Albert Pujols. They're going to rely on the pitching of Kyle Loesch. Will the Cardinals avert a sweep? We'll find out next on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer. By Southwest Airlines, new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited Rapid Rewards seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Life needs flavor. Another beautiful look at Alcatraz. Gorgeous sights here in San Francisco. Welcome inside AT&T Ballpark. The Cardinals have dropped the first 2 games of this series. Tony La Russa looking for some offense here this afternoon against Barry Zito. Here is the Cardinals batting order. Ryan Theriot will lead it off. Rasmus, swinging a hot bat, will be in center field, hit second. Pujols, Matt Holliday back in the lineup, will be in left field. Gerald Laird gets the start behind the plate, subbing for Yadier Molina, and Kyle Loesch will be the pitcher against veteran and former Cy Young Award winner Barry Zito.
Barry Zito was involved in an automobile accident a couple days before his first start. Got off to a slow start in that ball game. His 3 hits in the first 4 batters. Then he shut down 15 in a row. So the lefty really had a bad year, his first year after signing that $126 million contract. Left out the postseason roster, but he's not the forgotten man like he was a couple years ago. He can still be a very tough.
Tony La Russa must have the patience of Job dealing with these losses here the first couple of games in San Francisco. Very difficult when you're the manager dealing with those walk-off wins that the Giants have put up. Aaron Rowan, the center fielder, was the cause of the first one. Pablo Sandoval's the third baseman. Sanchez, Fontenot, and Belt round out the infield. Eli Whiteside getting the start. That's our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers Giants defense behind Barry Zito.
Well, there's no way to sugarcoat it, but Tony also will keep things in perspective to his ball club. They've been in every game except for 1.
Been exciting games too, haven't they? About a little less excitement and a little more runs.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously they're not hitting. Defense has been a question mark. Timely hitting has been virtually absent, but they've been in every ball game, and things will turn around.
Zito with a very good breaking ball. He's always had a good curveball, and you talked about that Cy Young year that he had. Al, he was 23-5 in 2002 with the Oakland A's. And a lot of it had to do with that incredibly big breaking curveball that he has.
It's not that he throws so hard, but that breaking ball is so slow to the point that your timing really is messed up with a significant differential.
1-2 to Theriot. Theriot hitting .222 in the early going. Fouls that one off, and a big hit he had here in Game 1. Almost the hero. He was the hero for a few minutes.
He absolutely was. Just a great 12-pitch at bat. Delivered a 2-run single to give the Cardinals a lead going to the bottom of the 9th. As they did that against the Giants closer.
Ground ball to the right side. Let's take a good look at the delivery of the left-handed veteran Barry Zito.
I think people really realize how many muscles and get to the point of maximum effort and even beyond when you're throwing a pitch. There are times where you watch that elbow and you wonder how it stays intact.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Can ask Mr. Wainwright about that. Colby Rasmus swinging a very hot bat for the Cardinals, 370. And not able to make that play in center field that resulted in the second straight walk-off for the Giants. Ball hit off the bat of Miguel Tejada. Another blown save for Ryan Franklin, and a tough way to end that game. He had a long way to go for it, but he should have caught it. Lazy fly ball to left field. Aubrey Huff still learning how to play the outfield. No trouble with that one.
Say all you want about this offense and lack of it, but until Albert starts producing, you're not going to see anything resembling normalcy. And then obviously it's a reassuring force behind him, having Holiday sit at even at that on-deck circle, but a very quick return for Matt.
Long strike off the bat of Albert Pujols. Way out in front of that delivery. Still nice to see him hit the ball hard, even though it's foul.
Albert's had success against Zito. Pair of home runs and a 400 average, but just having Matt back is just going to be a settling effect.
Only two left-handers in the lineup for Tony La Russa. Rasmus and Schumacher both getting the start against the left-hander.
Yeah, and almost have to, but a pretty generous strike zone, isn't it?
Really been that way all series.
That's the truth, though. When you're struggling, you always feel like you're hitting 0-2.
1-2 now to Albert. And he works the count even.
Your pitching or hitting, balance is so much a part of it. And it just seems like Albert has just been off balance. One of the ways you kind of start seeing him come out of it is taking pitches like that. You know, not trying to do too much, just trying to stay in the strike zone and not swing out of it.
Will Zito give in here? 3-2 to Albert. Off balance, fly ball to center field. Aaron Rowan takes care of Albert Pujols. Loesch to the mound when we come back. Bottom of the first, no score from San Francisco. Bruce Bochy, two-time manager of the year, sends this lineup to the plate against Kyle Loesch. Mike Fontenot will get the start at shortstop. Sanchez, Huff, Sandoval. Rowan, Shearholtz, who had 3 hits off the bench here last night. Brandon Belt, the rookie. Eli Whiteside behind the plate, and Barry Zito is your pitcher. Kyle Loesch is your Cardinal pitcher, and he begins strike one to Fontenot.
Kyle Loesch was very good in his first outing. First 5 innings, he just set him down in order. Got in trouble really with only 2 pitches in the 6th, resulting in 4 runs. And then he had a good 7th inning. But he knows he's physically sound right now. And you can really honestly say after he won 15 games and had that great year a couple years ago, got the nice contract, he has not been healthy since.
Certainly is a game of managing frustration now. The Cardinals have it collectively. Certainly Kyle Loesch had it in his last start. You just have to find a way to manage that emotion and get past it. Swing and a miss, and good start for Kyle Loesch on a changeup.
I think Kyle Loesch, his last start, obviously disappointed because of the numbers, but he knew he pitched well.
Cardinal defense brought to you by Dobbs. David Freese needs to get his bat going. Good glove on the left side of the infield. Here's that changeup.
Look at the movement. Ball just diving, just exploding away from a right-handed or left-handed batter. No chance to even make contact. When he keeps the ball down, everything works well for Kyle.
Base hit, Freddie Sanchez. Line drive over the head of David Freese. The Giants have their first base runner. Sanchez is a professional hitter.
Yeah, former national champion, but this ball is up. You know, it's above the belt. Hit a line drive and just got over the head of David Freese, who's played very well defensively, but I think David has been able to separate his offense from his defense. He's such a key to this club.
No doubt. Aubrey Huff, Giants left fielder, normally a first baseman, being asked to play in the outfield, learn a new position, so the Giants can find room for Brandon Belt, the young phenom who's playing first here this afternoon. It's the guy that scares you, Al, in the middle of the lineup.
Well, you know, he was their MVP last year. He set offensive records in virtually every category. He just had a great season. Playing out of position this year, and that ball will find you.
It always does.
But you know, talking with Bruce Bochy, because Cody Ross is out with a calf injury, they really, you know, said let's bring in the youngster Belt because of his defense. You know, he's just a one-year pro, did very well, but in A-ball, AA, and AAA last year.
3-0, he's swinging, fouls it off.
I don't often see a club like the Giants that have a world championship team and then playing with a rookie first baseman.
They have had some good rookies of the year in the past, however. We saw them honored here before the game tonight, collectively throwing out the first pitch. The 3-1 off-speed pitch, runner going. Loesch will have to get Huff at first. One of those rookie of the years, one of our favorites, Willie McCovey. And how about these numbers, Al? 2,200 hits, 521 home runs, over 1,500 RBIs, and a great gentleman.
He really is. I mean, he was a tremendous player, nicknamed Stretch. And 521 home runs. Of course, Mays with 660, and they talk about these guys that playing an old Candlestick, particularly before they enclosed it, how difficult it really was to hit a ball out of the ballpark, especially at night. When I first came into the league, we used to only play Tuesday and Friday night games here in San Francisco. We played a lot of day games, which helped in the horrible weather there in Candlestick.
Until about 4:30, 4:45, isn't that when it changed just about then?
Well, maybe even a little later, but great for batting practice on a night game.
And that base hit will give the Giants the lead. Pablo Sandoval, his 4th RBI. Scores Freddie Sanchez, 1-0 Giants.
Gerald Laird got hit by the bat, so try and give Molina a day off. And Gerald, let's see if it's the backswing. Breaking ball, but it stays right up there. And boy, he did get it flush on the side of the head. He does have a helmet on, so that'll help, but still, look at how this bat comes around, and he let go of it as it shattered the bat. Well, you know, if a guy has a vicious backswing or real late backswing, that'll get around to the catchers, but in that case, it was the bat just shattering and the barrel coming back and hitting him square.
So the Giants send the runner on Aubrey Huff's at bat. Sanchez gets to second base in scoring position, and Sandoval drives him in.
There's Yachty, who getting the day off. And there's my emergency catcher.
Did you tell him?
No, I haven't told him yet. No, I want it to be a shot. And to my knowledge, as of a couple days ago, Tony hasn't told him either. But the way the roster is construed right now, that's his thinking.
Yeah, let's see if we can all keep that a secret. You and I and the rest of Cardinal Nation watching our telecast. Might get back to him, Al.
You know, Stavanoa was the emergency catcher last season, and this spring, and from my understanding, even at Memphis this year, Stavinoa is getting some time back behind the plate, but he had caught a little bit previously. To my knowledge, Daniel has not, but Tony feels he's that scrappy kind of guy that could make that adjustment to a finish in the game.
And a nice play by David Freese going to his left, taking a hit away from Aaron Rowan. Giants score early, 1-0 through 1. Final game of the series from San Francisco. Our Toyota keys to the game for the Cardinals to find some offense. 15th in the National League in batting average, just .216, and only 2.6 runs per game, and also not finding very much in the power department with just 3 home runs, and they trail 1-0 early on, and happy to have this guy back in the lineup.
Well, that's it. Matt got off to a good start, had a great spring, 3 for 4 opening day. Then the off day, April 1st, he has the appendicitis, so a very quick return. Giants are amazed as Andres Torres, who came out of the game last night with a little Achilles strain, had a similar situation last year, and it really took him, and he's a lot smaller and slight frame.
Drive to center field. Aaron Rowan subbing for the injured Torres, takes care of Matt Holliday, out number 1.
It took Torres about 2 weeks to come back, and they even said even the first couple games they had to remove him during the game. You know, dive for a ball here, rip open a stitch. So.
And the new injury for Torres, who's not in the lineup today, left Achilles. He strained his Achilles on a play that he made in left center field here last night, and not in the lineup. We don't expect to see him.
Had a preliminary diagnosis last night that it was pretty slight. But MRI scheduled today, and no word on the outcome.
Alan Craig, good swing, fouls it back. 4 RBIs in the early going. Had a rough, very rough game. Game 1 of this series where he was 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. I'd like to forget about that one. You're going to have those kind of games.
Oh, yes. Whether you're pitching or hitting, you play long enough, you're going to have a whole bunch that you want to forget. And that's part of the mark, you know, dealing with frustration.
Line drive. This will get down in the gap and to the wall. Craig rounds first, heads to second. Little trouble in left field. Aubrey Huff. It's going to be an adventure with him. 1-out double for the Cardinal right fielder Alan Craig. Much better.
Much better. One of the rare extra base hits, the Cardinals. You know, the average is down, a little breaking ball out there. He catches it out in the gap. Gets it all the way to the wall. Huff has played in the outfield, so it's not like it's absolutely foreign, but so far this year, Bochy is saying, boy, that ball is finding. No errors on the season, but misplays, and that wasn't one of them. But
it still makes his highlight reel, though.
Yeah.
2 or 3 in one game where he misplayed.
Well, we saw that in the first game of the series where he had some trouble out in right field, and apparently on their first road trip, it was an adventure.
His adventure led to a David Freese double in game 1. Freese batting now with the tying run at second base. And he's a guy that needs to get on track. This offense is going to click, not just the first baseman and the left fielder, but David Freese is really being counted on to supply a lot of the punch from the right side.
And we forget that David still is a very young, major leaguer. Really doesn't have a lot of experience. The last couple of years, because of the ankle injuries, they've come to, short seasons. Yes, he got off to a great start last year, just hit under 300, drove in a lot of early runs, but he doesn't have that foundation either to handle a slump.
And a line drive base hit to left. Craig had to hold up. It's bobbled by the left fielder Huff. They're going to test his arm, and he's safe. Now play at second and on into center field. Cardinals have tied this game. Base hit, RBI for David Freese, and he takes the extra base on Aubrey Huff's wild throw.
The first RBI for David Freese. Good piece of hitting. Got that breaking ball, had a little hump in it, and even on this one, you know, Aubrey Huff, watch him come in, feel the ball, but then he bobbles it. That's a difference right there than probably making it out or safe at home plate. And then an ill-advised throw, if you're going to throws offline, but there's the big hit, ball elevated.
No error charged on that play. Jose Oquendo very aggressive in sending Craig. Skip Schumacher now with a chance to give the Cardinals a lead. And there's a case where no errors, yet defense hurts the Giants.
You know, if Huff fields the ball cleanly, Oquendo might even save or keep Craig at third base.
I think he would have.
But because he bobbled it, he sends him home. Then the throw off line.
Ground ball to the right side. Very smooth hands of Freddie Sanchez.
Throw off line. Freeze went to second base. Then they tried to throw it away, but no advancement. And now David's over third here with 2 outs.
It appears that Gerald Laird is okay after getting hit by the broken bat in the Giants' first inning. Right in the top of the head.
An intentional pass right here for Gerald Laird.
This move makes sense.
Well, it makes sense, but you know, isn't it amazing that even here this early in a ball game, you just don't have confidence in a $126 million pitcher that he can, you know, that he can get an 8th place hitter out. Sometimes it's just too easy to always pass the buck, you know, because at some point you're going to have to get that 8th place hitter out, and you've kind of told the pitcher, we don't think you can do it.
I would guess if the Cardinal offense was going better and Bruce Bochy was a little more scared about the top of the lineup, he might not do this. But what you're doing is you're giving the Cardinals a chance to lead off next inning.
Exactly.
With the top of the lineup.
When you're on the mound as a pitcher, I think you always have to feel that you can retire that 8th place hitter, and then you've got an easy start to the next inning because you were going to tire the pitcher.
Right.
And that's not to say that wasn't Zito's thinking also, but not as managers. You just can't walk the 8th place hitter every time.
Really doesn't matter what Barry Zito's thinking, does it?
Right.
He does not get to vote on that.
And you and I both have great respect for Bruce Bochy.
You bet.
Mentioned, you know, obviously the reigning manager, the world champions, 2-time manager of the year. So obviously he's got a strong pedigree and he knows what he's doing. But
changeup. Way out in front is Kyle Loesch. And Tony La Russa respects Bruce Bochy.
There's so many breaking balls, but you can see the circle changeup grip, kept that ball down. That's almost unfair to a pitcher, isn't it?
That's right. It's against the code, Al.
Loesch did pinch hit in this series. On Friday, he pinch hit.
Cardinals were out of position players. Loesch bounced out in the 10th inning of that Cardinal loss.
Yesterday I saw Matt Holliday on the streets of San Francisco, and I said, probably had to be tough if you watch that game Friday knowing that we got pitchers. Remember, Loesch did hit. McClellan was on deck one time. He goes, yeah, I went into the training room, and Greg Hawk said, don't even ask. Don't even ask. You're not available.
3-2 pitch to Kyle Loesch from Zito. Swing and a miss. Zito works out of it, but the Cardinals tie the score. Head to FoxSportsMidwest.com for Cardinals post-game coverage. FoxSportsMidwest.com for your Cardinal news. News from San Francisco, 1-1 our score. Kyle Loesch out for his second inning of work.
Kyle Well, got a couple balls up, but hopefully keep those balls down, get ground balls.
I like the fact that the Cardinals were able to answer with a run in the top of the second inning.
I just think that, having Holiday out there, everything kind of, you feel like you're getting back to normal. And good to see that it's Alan Craig and David Freese with the back-to-back hits.
You bet.
To score, not that you're depending on Albert or Matt Holiday.
There is something just about the presence, and
yes,
Jim Hayes talked about it with Trevor Miller in the pregame, but the reality of having Holiday in the lineup, whether he goes 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, it just does something to the opposing pitcher's psyche and really to your team's psyche, just to know he's in the battle with you.
And there's no doubt about it, just when you're going over that lineup, and you have to look at it now, Pujols and then Holiday. The pitching coach, the manager, the pitcher and catcher, they all do a double take.
There's a strike on the inside corner, and Kyle Loesch starts the second the same way he did the first with a strikeout of Nate Schierholtz.
Schierholtz was a big hitting star as he came in defensively for the injured Torres last night and was 3 for 3. But good action. Sinker as he kind of tails back to the good part of the plate and gets his second strikeout.
You almost have to throw that pitch at the front knee of a left-handed batter and have that work across the inside corner. Very tough pitch for a left-hander to pull the trigger on.
Bob Maddox, that one guy that come to mind, or the right-hander that could do that for the best of them.
Hershiser as well. When he was at his best, that was really his bread and butter pitch. Ground ball to the right side. Skip throws out Brandon Belt, out number 2. 2 quick outs for Loesch. Really a shame here yesterday that Jaime Garcia was not able to pick up his second victory. If you look at the Cardinals starting pitching, 5 of the 8 games they've had quality starts, and Jaime's was outstanding here yesterday.
To be honest with you, the only game that the Cardinals have not been in was the second game of the season, the game Westbrook's game. Even, the last one was not a quality start for Loesch, but he pitched extremely well. He was 15 up, 15 down for the first 5 innings. Had trouble only in 1 inning. That was the 6th inning, but still kept his team right there. So Tony, as bad as things have been, there's a lot of reasons to look and say they aren't as bad as it really does appear. But there's no denying when you blow 3 saves, 3 games where you like to think you should have, and Ryan Franklin would be the first one to say, yes, I should have converted all 3 of those.
No doubt. Line drive foul. Eli Whiteside at the plate with 2 outs.
And even Ryan Franklin, who he's going to beat himself up a little bit, but took consolation in the fact that he showed up today and his manager and pitching coach said, look at these pitches, they aren't that bad. Those things will turn around, and so no one's lost confidence in the Cardinal closer.
He'll get his chance again.
That's it. That's it.
Well, the Cardinals bullpen overall, Al, has not really done a bad job. 2.84 ERA as a bullpen, and you think about the job that Augenstein has done, and Trevor Miller.
There's been some missed plays that have cost a couple victories, defensively.
Lazy fly ball to right, back goes Schumacher. In comes Craig. 3 up, 3 down for Loesch. On to the 3rd inning from the Bay. Top of the 3rd inning, 1-1 in San Francisco. The Cardinals trying to avert a sweep here this afternoon against the Giants. Next Family Sunday for the Redbirds is April 24th. The Cardinals will host the Cincinnati Reds. All fans purchasing a regular priced terrace level seat will receive a free Hunter hot dog and a Coca-Cola. Plus, it's tickets.com Stan Musial commemorative bobblehead night. A great giveaway. You don't want to miss it. Sunday tickets today at cardinals.com. Ryan Theriot, and the top of the order for the Redbirds against Barry Zito. First pitch misses high, and we welcome in Jim Hayes. Always good to have him in the third inning. And Jim, I know you've got a ton of things to report to us from the Cardinals dugout. And let's begin. We were talking last inning about the psyche of this Cardinal club and Ryan Franklin in particular, and how he's handling a couple of tough losses.
Well, you mentioned there were some extenuating circumstances, but he was quite candid, saying it was a long, long night and a lot of soul searching.
Ground ball, base hit for Theriot.
But Franklin said, you know, you get to a point where you either have confidence in your stuff or you don't, and he says he still does. And he got to the ballpark. Tony La Russa looked at his outing last night. Dave Duncan looked at it and said he made good pitches to Tejada. He said he got a ton of support as well from his teammates.
Pitch on the end part of the plate, just turns on it, hits it by Sandoval for a leadoff hit.
So I asked him, Tony said he's probably not available today, maybe for a batter if need be. But I said, is that a good thing to have a little day separation? He said, no, once you realize you're fine, you want to get right back out there. He wished he could pitch today.
I like what Trevor Miller said to you in the pregame, where he said that part of that encouragement from the teammates you're talking about is part of their job. It should be our job. Pick somebody up.
Absolutely. The only thing I will disagree with what you're reporting there, and I mean it's excellent reporting.
Oh, as always.
But
he's killing my report.
No, if I'm Ryan Franklin, I don't want to be told I'm probably not going to be in this game, because mentally I want to go out there assuming that if there is a save, I'm going to be the guy. Now, if Tony chooses to pick somebody else, that's fine, but you don't want to be going out there thinking, oh, I'm probably not going to be there, and then all of a sudden you're in the heat of the battle and trying to restart the engines.
Well, I don't think Tony made his decision based on last night. Just in terms of usage, you know, they try to space Franklin out as much as they possibly can. And Tony says he still believes in Ryan Franklin. John Mozeliak joined the team for this leg of the trip. He says he still believes in Ryan Franklin. And as those guys point out, you know, it's really a small sample of the season, and it would be hasty, at least in the opinion of John Mozeliak, to start being overly concerned about what they see here, because they believe that this team is better than it's performed.
I think the question is, yes, they're better than what they're performing, but are they as good as what they think this team is going to be?
It's a good question. We're going to find out. It's what happens over 162 games, and you mentioned it being a small sample, and Cardinal fans would, I think, in unison say not a very good sample.
Bad sample.
We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of tough things, tough losses.
And some of the concerns I think that fans had, we're seeing come to fruition in terms of questions about the defense.
Defense, hitting, you know, starting pitching, which we said, even with the loss of Adam Wainwright, is still a real strength to this ball club. I have questions about the bullpen, but those haven't been answered yet. And you know, and part of that bullpen is you have plenty of arms. You have to see Boggs, you got to see Mott, you got to see those guys in more of the role that we saw them do a good job last year in.
Tony La Russa was asked before the game if he felt the need to give any sort of keep your chin up pep talk to his team. And he said, no, because I haven't seen anything that would make me do that. But the players apparently are taking upon themselves. Trevor Miller told me on the pregame show that Lance Berkman gave a sort of address to the troops just to make sure everyone was on the same page and any frustration would be channeled properly.
Full count to Rasmus. Ball for his 8th walk of the season. And the Cardinals have 2 runners aboard here in the 3rd inning. You know, Cardinal closers haven't always had the best of Aprils. There's some pretty good names that have had some rough starts. Franklin certainly having a rough time this April, but you look over 5 seasons, only 5 blown saves. How about those names? Isringhausen, Worrell, Suter. More blown saves in an equal number of seasons. Ryan Franklin's have all just been bunched in 2011.
hard throwers are going to be a little bit slow out of the gate. And when I really look at what Frankie's done, what has been more concerning to me is that what has prolonged some of those opportunities for the other team to score is the walks. He doesn't walk anybody. So
he also says he's a fast starter usually. Look at his numbers over the first month or two, always good. So he's at a loss right now.
Albert Pujols at the plate.
You know what I tell him? Quit thinking. Just go out and pitch.
1-1 to Albert. Cardinals with a couple runners aboard here in the third inning. Tie score from San Francisco.
Way back, Albert.
Ground ball to short. Could be another double play off the bat of Albert Pujols, and it is. The 13th double play that the Cardinals have hit into in 2011. Looks familiar, Al.
6-1 for Albert. 3 on opening day, 3 more, but at some point, someone's going to pay for this. And Albert, even Albert, the best hitter on the planet, is feeling like he has to do something. And it's just tough to play that way. You just got to relax, let your great skills take over.
Matt Holliday, in his first game back since his appendectomy, flew out to center field in the second inning. And it's one thing if you're struggling like that, knowing that you can get it back. You look at the double plays the Cardinals have hit into. But when the whole team's going that way, then it becomes very frustrating. Everybody starts to press a little bit.
Very few extra base hits. The Cardinals just aren't putting, they haven't had a 3-run inning yet. So just, trying to do. Fans have to know that if they're frustrated, the players are even more frustrated. But yet they can't worry about it. They just got to know that it'll take care of itself over the course of 162 games.
I think these guys are going to hit. I look at it as you're not going to see Albert continue to hit this way for the entire season. Now Holliday's back. You take those two guys out of any lineup, and it's going to take a big hit offensively.
I'd almost like to see Albert try to hit the ball to right field, just try to hit line drives that way to keep him with his hands back and to see the ball deeper into the zone. He's just rolling over a lot of balls, hitting him to the left side, and easier said than done.
Sure, and Albert, how hard he works mentally and physically on the game.
He's not a guy that needs to be reminded of doing certain things. He's in the middle of the game taking extra swings when he gets a chance, or checking on video to see what he might have done wrong. I don't know if there's anyone that does work harder at that than Albert.
You can't argue his success, but for other hitters, you could probably say and even for Albert, there's a fact of working too hard.
No doubt.
By the way, Albert's going to be on 60 Minutes tonight. And it's really very little about baseball. Mostly about Albert Pujols, the foundation, his work, Down syndrome, and just the person that Albert is, and one that we all admire and respect. But an awful lot on the foundation. So after this game, check that out.
On the corner to Alan Craig, he doubled and scored in the second inning. And Albert's work, not just the Down syndrome community, but also his native Dominican Republic, trying to help out, not only develop baseball in those communities, but certainly some of the social needs and the material needs of
he found
his countrymen.
That even through baseball, he can connect with some of those young men where there's an awful lot of single moms there, and just trying to help these kids understand the responsibility of parenthood.
Guarantee you that every kid in the Dominican knows who Albert Pujols is. It's really, we say it's the pastime, the national pastime in our country. Certainly other sports will compete with that, but in the Dominican Republic, it's all baseball.
But I'll kind of maybe disagree with you, because the areas where he's going, the villages he's going, they don't know who Albert Pujols is. They know this guy that's bringing gifts, and because it's such a remote, the poverty.
You are right about that.
Stricken poverty areas.
No TVs there.
No.
The 2-1. 3-1.
And when
Alan Craig.
And when you say gifts, what you mean is basic medical and dental care.
and you know, and mattresses.
Mattresses, blankets.
But you know, the doctor, you know, have 1 year, the ophthalmologist will come. Another year, it's the, you know, just basic things that we take for granted.
Change up. Craig can't stay back on the 3-1 change from Zito.
Ricky, you help out at Albert's Christmas party, and I've really enjoyed going there. But to watch the video,
oh yeah,
it's incredible. That he isn't just doing lip service, and all the people that from the St. Louis area that go and help the medical community, they help him out, and just phenomenal work for the Down syndrome kids.
Big pitch early on, full count. Popped foul. We've had a lot of full counts in this series, haven't we? A lot of big pitches, runners on the move. Chance for a lot of heroes. Some heroes that were only temporary heroes.
Well, in a game like this, you know Zito's not going to be around long. You know, he's thrown 61 pitches, 31 balls, 30 strikes. He's really trying to finesse his way through.
Pitch number 62 from Zito. Jams Craig. Shallow left field. Back goes the shortstop, Fontenot. And there ends the Cardinal rally. 1-1 is your score. Take the Cardinals with you wherever you go this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Cardinals game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. Visit Cardinals.com to order and get more details at MLB.tv. It's baseball everywhere. Barry Zito leads it off for the Giants here in the third inning. Zito looking for his first hit of the season, tries to slap it past David Freese, strike one. And we are thrilled, I mean honored, to have Jim Hayes with us throughout this entire third inning.
Seems like another shot.
No, I didn't seem sincere when I said that.
Dripping with sincere.
Another strikeout for Loesch. And a couple of more things we want to ask you about. We certainly want to ask about Colby Rasmus. We talked about the heroes that were heroes for a short period of time. Rasmus certainly epitomizes that last night. His home run almost won the game for the Cardinals, and he wasn't able to make that play in left center field.
Well, I asked him about the play in center because I was curious as to how he saw the play developing. And he said he was never sure he was going to get to the ball, and at the last second, it's really windy out there. My words, not his, but the wind just pushed it down quickly, and it hit off the heel of his glove. And he said should have made the catch, but that was a very tough chance.
Totally agree.
Long way to go.
And he did try to catch it with two hands. And if you're going to win championships, those plays have to be made.
Absolutely. He understands that. But I tell you what, especially at night, the wind does whip around here, and it makes a play even more difficult, but still one that should have been made.
Gerald Laird hangs on. The ball was tipped off the bat of Fontenot. He's now a strikeout victim for the second time. Strikeout number 4 for Loesch. And really execution. You know, we use that word quite a bit in our telecast, but the Cardinals have lost games so far because they have not executed as well as the other team has.
Absolutely. I asked John Mozeliak about the defensive execution, and I said, is this team better defensively than they've performed to this point? And he does believe this team is better.
Well, we know it appeared the way it was constructed that they sacrificed a little defense for more offense. And I will say that we've had more defensive problems than pitching problems, as a lot of the games have resulted in bad defensive plays.
There's a good one, a real good defensive play, but up the line is the throw from David Freese, off balance. Should be an infield hit, and it is for Freddie Sanchez. He's now 2 for 2.
Well, David already has played extremely well defensively. Just a shame right here that an effort to scramble up. And remember, Freddie Sanchez is a real hustling ball player. So reactionary position, he goes out there a little bit more than a dive, a step or two in a dive, throwing off balance there, trying to get unload quickly, just pulls Albert off the bag, but a very, very nice play.
Aubrey Huff bounced out in the first inning. Very dangerous hitter from the left side, just 309 feet down the right field line. 421 in right center. On the ground, backhanded by Pujols. Out number 3. Enjoyed the visit with Jim Hayes. Can the Cardinals figure out the many pitches of Barry Zito? We'll find out when we come back. David Freese leads it off for the Cardinals, top of the 4th inning. Cardinals have 1 run on 3 hits, and so do the Giants. Have an errorless game so far. Freese with an RBI single in the 2nd inning. He counted for the 1 Cardinal run. Gets jammed, hits it to left. Huff comes in, then backs up. Barry Zito pitching very well, and he has quite the assortment of pitches, Al.
Well, for pitch pitcher. Now you try to watch the release point. So you see here's the fastball grip, the 2-seam fastball, pulls it on down. The changeup, this is real easy. The circle changeup. You see how the thumb and the first finger form that circle. Got the slider. Now watch how he pulls that one down. Fingers a little off speed, off center on the seams, but he's known for the curveball. And we'll show you that one.
After the base hit to Skip Schumacher. 1 out single to center. It was not a curveball, but Zito very well known for this pitch.
But here, you're trying to watch the release point. Can you pick up and watch that and see how he cocks this ball? See how he'll hold it a little bit different, the grip on there, and see that little bit of a hump pulling down the lampshade. And remember, you're doing it not in slow motion. You're trying to do it in real time, a split second. You're seeing that. Your brain has to register what you think it is and then kind of react to it, seeing where it is, the flight of the ball coming in.
1 hopper to third. Sandoval to Sanchez to Belt. 5, 4, 3 double play. Takes care of the Cardinals here in the 4th inning. Giants have had trouble defensively, but not that inning. Join Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association in helping Japan's children in need. Visit unicef.org or text Japan to 864-233 to donate $10. Standard text messaging and transactional fees apply. For more information, visit MLB.com/JapanRelief. Sandoval, the switch hitting third baseman, singled in the first, leads off against Kyle Loesch, who struck out the first batter in each of the first 3 innings. Sandoval off to a good start. Batting average of 444 in the early going. Just a very dangerous hitter. Al, you talked about how he's slimmed down, in much better shape. A lot better athlete than you might think. Seems to be kind of pudgy player, but very, very agile at third base.
Well, they feel that weight loss has also helped him with his range and his throwing ability over at third base. Always been a great hitter here. 344 lifetime hitter here. Last year's sophomore season really tailed off offensively, particularly on the road.
Pujols handles that ground ball, flips to Kyle Loesch, just like PFP all spring training long.
Well, with Albert over there, who ranges so far to his right and looking for his 1,000th assist, he'll probably get it here today. You've got to be, anything hit to the right side, you've got to be on the move.
We mentioned the Japan relief, the onset of this inning. We also want to remind folks that Major League Baseball not only helps out folks in need, but the film and media industry is really making an effort, big initiative to help fight cancer. Stand Up to Cancer is a new initiative that's being done in concert with 200 scientists from 50 different institutions around the world. Stand Up to Cancer is the media's initiative to try to make a dent in that terrible disease that affects so many people. And they're doing great work and great research. We are wearing pins today, Al.
Yes, we are.
Commemorate that.
So many cancer survivors now that it's not the death sentence. And if you get the early detection, save your life and have a normal functioning life. A lot of those dreaded diseases of 20, 30 years ago are starting to become curable.
Kyle Loesch may have a very quick inning here, facing Nate Shearholtz, who struck out looking in the second inning. And we should give one more mention to the snowmanfund.com. JT Snow works for the Giants, special assistance to the organization here. His niece, Raquel Gable. Long drive to left. So snowmanfund.com, casino night in June. Good inning for Kyle Loesch. 6 is a serious number again this year. When the Cardinals score 6, get a 25-cent drink the next day, all day at On the Run at Mobile. That's any 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just a quarter. We're serious. Starters comparison, both Loesch and Zito with good outings. 1 run apiece. Loesch has yet to walk a batter. And he leads off for the Cardinals. Hits that ball hard to left field. Huff on the run and makes the play. Ball finding him again.
But this time it was okay. The Giants loved that it found him. Had the ball up, hit it hard, and lines it right out there. And Aubrey Huff hangs on to it. Always amazes me. It's probably the most difficult thing in sports to hit a baseball, and why guys that are accomplished hitters struggle defensively.
That should seem like an easier task.
Yeah. How about Terrio here? You know, we have 4 players from the LSU National Championship team on the field today.
I know 3 of them. I don't know the 4th.
You do. You just aren't aware of it. You know. And
Fontenot.
Fontenot and Terrio were teammates. Ryan Talent, Cardinals' second left-hander, was on that ball club.
And
the Giants' closer, Ryan Wilson.
And now we know.
Yeah. I knew that Wilson had went to LSU, but I didn't realize he was on that team, and Terrio was telling me that today. And Stavanoa came there the next year.
You'd have to assume Brian Wilson is available for the action here this afternoon. He did not look very good in game 1 of this series. Didn't look like he had his normal velocity, his normal command.
And I think it's a fact that he's not 100% healthy. The Giants closer, who came off the disabled list Wednesday, didn't have a particularly good outing. Blew the save on Friday, but in order to get him back, you got to pitch.
Curveball hit on the ground to Fontenot. LSU throws out LSU. Before and after every game on Fox Sports Midwest, join us for Cardinals Live. Mike Matheny hosts Cardinals Live with Pat Paris again today. What a twosome that is. Cardinals Live after the game today. Tomorrow we're on the air at 8 p.m. before the Cardinals and Diamondbacks. Cardinals heading to Arizona after the game here. 3-game set there, then 4 in Los Angeles. Very long early season road trip, Al, that we knew when we saw the schedule would be not easy to go on the road for so long, so early. Cardinals off to a rough start.
Sometimes a club can come together. Being on the road 10 days, but of course, what brings the team really together is winning.
You'd rather you be the one celebrating at home plate than the other team. The Cardinals have had to watch that a couple of times.
And I agree that there was no need for Tony to have a meeting at this point. You have too many meetings.
Sometimes that's seen as a panic.
Right. You know, the players can kind of say, hey, we're okay. It's okay for Berkman and Carpenter and the team leaders to kind of get guys together and make sure they're all pulling on the same page. But if Tony were to go have it right now, someone could say, wait a minute, you know, he thinks we are panicking.
Part of the disconnect a bit. As a Cardinal fan, certainly we all have a right to look at the team and say, boy, I'm concerned about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you start to get this unsettled feeling about the club, and you kind of are a little disappointed that you're not hearing that from the players themselves or from the manager or the general manager. But the difference is they can't say that. They cannot think that way. It doesn't mean they're in denial.
No.
Well, maybe a little bit, but what it does mean is they're trying to put their best foot forward and get themselves out of it.
Sometimes when a player's in denial, it's good.
Right.
Because he isn't looking at what we're seeing, but, you know, trying to keep it positive and not thinking it's as bad as it is.
And at the end of every player's career, Alan, I know you'll agree with this, every player's in denial because you think you can figure it out and play 3 more years, and and you're always the last one to know that your career's over. The 3-2 to Rasmus. Taking the air down the left field line, coming back fair. Sandoval catches it in foul territory. 1-2-3 inning for Zito in the 5th. He's breezing right along. 2011 Cardinals Crew Kids Club presented by Rawlings Sporting Goods. Quite a deal. Just $25. Kids get Cardinal tickets, a large duffel bag, a bobblehead toothbrush holder, Cardinals silly bands, and more. I don't even know what that is.
Silly bands?
Silly. I don't know what a silly band is.
I know what they are. It's scary that I know it.
Cardinals.com/Kids Club for more information. Al teaches me stuff every day.
And they're silly bands.
I'll take your word for it. 1-1 to Brandon Belt. Bounced out in the 2nd inning. Belt, Whiteside, and Zito, who's pitching very well here this afternoon. Kyle Loesch matching him pitch for pitch. Loesch has been very efficient with his pitches as well.
He really has. He's only thrown 53 pitches and averaging about 12 per inning. He had 7 innings in his first start. He stretched out more than anybody else in spring training.
Off-speed pitch hit on the ground to second. And another 4-3 for Brandon Belt.
And the pitch away where a hitter, then hitter tries to pull the ball and rolls over on it, doing the pitcher a favor.
Beautiful afternoon for baseball here in San Francisco. Got some great views. Like to have those seats out.
Showing TV monitor, right?
Hit on the line to left center field. In comes Holiday, sliding grab, makes the play.
Good to see there, because, you know, Holiday has been reminded, you know, hey, be careful when you're going to have to dive. Here he slides, but you know, when you get some play like that where you're going to put a little extra strain on the abdominal area, you know, does he give up? But the competitive nature is, no, I'm an athlete, I'm a competitor, I'm going after that ball, and makes a nice play.
I think Greg Houck and Tony La Russa might have been holding their breath on that.
Yeah, they're going, please don't dive, please don't dive.
And then he catches it and they say, nice play.
Sure.
Way to go.
And, you know, he really did improve as an outfielder last season.
Agreed.
Matt Holiday. Great hitter, but wanted to become a better all-around player, and he did so.
Well, what we saw a lot last year is Dave McKay about mid-season coming out and working the outfielders more. Some of it was for Colby Rasmus's benefit, but the other outfielders joined him, including Matt Holiday, who I thought was working really hard, particularly on throws. Rasmus, we think, can be a very good defensive center fielder, has the tools to be that. And I think we'll get there at some point. Kyle Loesch, outstanding inning. 7 straight for the Cardinal right-hander. Welcome back to AT&T Park. AT&T trivia question. Which 2 cities have the Giants nearly moved to since relocating to San Francisco? You know, I've been wondering that for so many years, and I've never known the answer, but I think I'm going to find out.
St. Pete, Tampa Bay was one.
That's correct.
That's really how Tampa Bay came into existence, because there was a lawsuit. And in order to settle that lawsuit, they allowed Tampa Bay to become an expansion team.
You've taught me 2 things already today, Al, and it's only the 6th inning.
I wasn't aware of the Toronto ball.
Don't like to see Albert Pujols lead off innings, but that's what we have here in the top of the 6th against Barry Zito. Throwing 80 pitches.
I'm going to like to see him hit twice this inning.
Well, let's see if Al gets his wish. First pitch on the outside corner, Albert not so sure.
A little bit wide.
Curveball, strike 2. Albert Pujols batting 156. I don't think I've ever said that sentence before. I thought I'd just say it. Won't happen for long. You know he's going to get out of it at some point. The 0-2 from Zito. Curveball hit on the ground is short, hit hard, but handled by Fontenot. Out number 1.
Talked about it. It seemed like you're always hitting 0-2, and that was the case. So a big breaking ball. It was 0-2. Got to protect the plate, put a little bit out in front. You know, you're rolling over on that outside pitch. You're a little bit quick.
That's a pitch out. We'd really like to see Albert try to drive to right field, but just again, so difficult when your hands are as quick as his to keep them back. You know, the other thing that Albert has as an elite athlete is not just great hand-eye coordination, but tremendous vision. Players talk about seeing the ball all the time, being able to see it.
Well, in order to hit, you have to get a good pitch to hit. You know, so you got to have something that is going to be a strike in your range. You know what you're looking for. But I mean, Ricky, you and I have, our careers took a different course than Albert's. Albert has never failed, ever.
That's right.
We understood frustration.
A lot. Me more than you.
But I mean, Albert is, you know, nobody works harder. Nobody puts a more mental time into this game and the video and everything. But it's a new experience for him right now.
2-2 to Holiday. In the dirt, curveball. Count full to the Cardinal left fielder. His first game back. Trying to get some offense in the middle of that Cardinal lineup, but still have not found it. Just 1 run on 4 hits for the Redbirds, batting in the 6th inning.
Spring training for 6 weeks, and yet in a couple days you can lose your time. So a couple walks here. And see, 4th walk, and 2 of them have been to Matt Holiday.
Zito now at 89 pitches. Alan Craig doubled, scored in the 2nd inning. And the RBI hit by David Freese, who will bat next.
I get the feeling that this is a pretty good matchup for Alan Craig.
I agree.
He doesn't have the overpowering stuff.
Right.
You know, so he's going to get, you know, fastballs that are very much in his wheelhouse. And he hit the, you know, the exceptional breaking ball, but Zito's hung a few. Dave Righetti will come out and talk to him as he's falling behind the count here, 2-0. Not a good ratio of strikes to ball and already 91 with 5 1/3 innings pitched.
Not really sure why all the infielders have to come into this conference. I just felt like when the pitching coach had something to say to you about mechanics, unless it's a defensive positioning question, what do you need the third baseman and the second baseman for? They're doing everything as a team, though,
maybe
aren't they?
Rick Brighetti's a good joke teller.
Could be. They have been doing everything as a team. They got their rings together. They came in from center field on opening day when they were introduced.
All went out there to watch Buster today get his Rookie of the Year award for what they say the third or fourth time. Yamamoto warming up.
Mays, Cepeda, McCovey, Posey, Montefusco, and Gary Matthews all throwing out first pitches today.
I hadn't seen the count on Montefusco since the 70s.
He was tough.
Teammate in St. Louis. He was Rookie of the Year. Threw a no-hitter early in his career. Played with Sarge, Gary Matthews in Atlanta.
Back-to-back walks for Zito. And speaking of the count, very good career for the former Giant. September 29th, 1976. No-hitter against the Atlanta Braves. I recall him running off the mound after every inning. He was kind of an animated pitcher, not quite as animated as you, Al.
Well, he was just a count. He's a good guy. He yelled at me when we got off the bus. I said, who's he yelling at me? And I looked over and he said, the count. And I thought, oh my goodness.
Number of years later. Great personalities of the game of baseball. Line drive, base hit, David Freese. And the Cardinals take the lead, and Freese goes to second. Matt Holliday scores the go-ahead run for the Cardinals. They lead 2-1 as David Freese has come through again.
Second RBI of the game, giving the Cardinals the 2-1 lead. Calls those 2 walks. David's shown he's been a run producer. Another pitch that's up. Tomahawks it. Got the line drive over Sandoval and down to left field. Nice thing there too is because Holliday didn't have to run hard. He knew he was coming home. His ball up. Actually a strike, but good tomahawk. Infield in now with 1 out. Runners at second and third.
For Skip Schumacher. Line drive to center field. Back goes Rowan. And he can't make the play. He drops the ball. He drops it again. 1 run scores. Here comes Freese. And the Cardinals lead 4-1. You will not see that very often. No. Aaron Rowan went a long way to get it and just dropped the baseball.
Very good defensive player. And ball, you know, the wind can be tricky. It's blowing out that way. Reaches up right off the end of the glove. And he drops it again. David Freese was right at the bag, assuming he was going to catch it and going to tag up and go. But when a ball goes off the glove, he's able to score easily, and the Cardinals have their first 3-run inning and looking for more.
4-1 Cardinals. What's on Tap brought to you by Bud Light. Our next telecast tomorrow from the desert. Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. 8 p.m. start. Cardinals 3 games there, then on to Los Angeles. Our Mid-America Chevy dealers call to the bullpen is the veteran right-hander Guillermo Mota.
13 years in the big leagues. He's logged over 760 innings, second most among active relievers behind Mariano Rivera. Mota's gotten off to a good start. He's tossed 5 shutout innings over 4 appearances to begin the season. How about the Cardinals got their first 3-run inning now and looking for more. Remember, I still said that Albert's going to bat twice this inning.
You did say that. I heard you. Only one out as Gerald Laird bats in the 6th inning. Albert led off the inning by bouncing out, then walks to Holiday and Craig. RBI double off the bat of David Freese, and Skip Schumacher doubling the left center field. And the Cardinals take a 4-1 lead. 1-0 to the Cardinal catcher. And that missed by a good foot and a half. 2-0. Kyle Loesch will bat next.
Gerald Laird, very interesting, very likable guy, and he's fit in very well with his new ball club. Real sports fanatic.
We've said many times, if you're a backup catcher and you're not a likable guy, you become an ex-player real soon.
You have to understand your role. You have a thoroughbred like Yachty, but you have to understand that you're not going to be playing. You're not going to be playing splitting time equally. That you're the backup. Keep a good, positive outlook. Be ready when called upon. But Yachty's going to get the bulk of the playing time. I've seen a lot of guys that start rooting for, I want playing time, and then they start getting playing time and they prove that they can't play.
The 3-1 to Gerald Laird is hit on the ground to third. Sandoval holds his ground and throws out the Cardinal backup catcher for out number 2. Kyle Loesch 0 for 2, and he has pitched very well this afternoon, and Barry Zito was pitching very well. And all of a sudden the roof just caved in on him here in the 6th inning. The play in center field, Rowan should have caught that ball, but it was well hit by Schumacher, would have scored at least one.
Loesch has been very much under control. He had 2 hits back in the 1st inning when they scored the 1 run. He has not walked a man, and then the only other base runner since the 1st was an infield hit in the 3rd. Where Zito, with the 5 walks, and he had to get a couple double plays to keep him out of some jams. Pitch count was much higher than Kyle. You just knew that it was a matter of time before he was going to be knocked out of this game. Where Kyle, you look like you can keep him out there for a few more innings.
Loesch battling at the plate, and you start to look forward to what Tony La Russa might do with the bullpen.
Well, the first thing is Kyle go deep into that ball game. If he can duplicate what he did in his first start, those 7 innings, that bullpen will take care of itself. Cool temperatures out here. You feel invigorated.
You'd have to assume that Miguel Batista is not available. He pitched very well here last night.
Well, you would think that he's not available, and Ryan Franklin probably not available.
Almost a wild pitch. Yeah. Good play by Eli Whiteside, the catcher. And with 6 left-handed bats in the lineup for the Giants, counting Barry Zito, who's now out of the game, we have to think that we may see Trevor Miller, Brian Talent, done a good job from the left side.
We're going to have to see, Mott and Boggs. They were a big part of that bullpen last couple of years.
Tough at bat for Loesch. I think Jason Mott could be a key to this club too. We've talked about the question marks. You've actually used that phrase, Al, talking about the bullpen, still having some questions there. And Jason Mott is able to get to that next level. He did not have a very good spring, but if he can come on and get hot, that could be a big boost to this club.
No doubt about it, and I think he will. He has the power arm to be an impact down there in the bullpen. It's not surprising a guy like Mott, who pretty much is a one-pitch pitcher, power arm, to have a slow spring and to get a slow start. Power arms takes a little more time to develop in the course of the year.
The 3-2 to Loesch. Line Line drive to center field. Rowan on the run and makes the catch about head high. Good at bat for Loesch. Skip Schumacher a big hit. Gives the Cardinals a 4-1 lead. Our This Date in Cardinals History, always brought to you by Schnucks. April 10th, 2006. The Cardinals in their opener at the new Busch Stadium beat the Brewers 6-4. Albert Pujols hit the first Redbird home run at the new ballpark. Tony La Russa enjoying a lead. Cardinals have had a few leads. That doesn't mean they've been able to close the deal, and they hope to do that here this afternoon to avoid a sweep in San Francisco. Kyle Loesch in his 6th inning of work. That was pitch number 61 only, but very efficient.
It's amazing. I think if you can kind of look at 12, you can keep it 12 pitches and under, per inning, and you really accomplish what you like to do as a starting pitcher, and that's go real deep into a game.
And there's a strike on the inside corner, and it has been a rough afternoon for Mike Fontenot. That's the 3rd strikeout for him here this afternoon. And there's some folks that aren't happy because their guy's not playing today.
Tony La Russa and Bruce Bochy are very much aware that he is available to come off that bench.
Oh yeah,
in key time, and he's a hitter that hits with a lot of luck
and a lot of skill.
Well, most definitely. He's the kind of guy that he's, it's not just all or nothing. He can flare some balls, you make mistakes, you can hit it out of the ballpark. He's just a real good hitter.
Ground ball up the middle, knocked down by Loesch. Throws out Freddie Sanchez, who was 2 for 2.
Says he's okay. He's a real good athlete.
Fireworks night is back at Busch. Friday, April 22nd. Celebrate the start of the 2011 Cardinals season by watching a dazzling display of fireworks from the comfort of your seat. For tickets, visit us online at cardinals.com. Love fireworks night.
Movement on Loesch's pitches, keeping it down there, just dealing.
This is where you have to just smell the wind and just go after it, don't you? No letting up. Go to the whip.
I've always kind of thought the mindset of a starting pitcher is you get through 6 and then you do a mental countdown and just keep on attacking each hitter. The real key is you got to get through this 6th inning. It's retired 9 in a row. Replica of the championship trophy. Their giveaway today. Very nice giveaway.
Also. Two hit on the ground. Loesch. Fair ball. Throws out Huff. He's grounded out 3 times, and Loesch is sailing. Cardinals lead 4-1 through 6. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box, where you can get anything on the menu any time of day, and by Kia Motors. Take a look at the in-game box score. Freese and Schumacher, big doubles in this game. Actually, 3 extra base hits for the Cardinals. They've been hard to come by all season long. The Cardinals have managed 4 runs through 6 innings, and they have the lead here in San Francisco behind Kyle Loesch.
Kyle Loesch has retired 10 in a row, 16 of his last 17 batters.
Mentioned the first inning where he gave up the couple of hits. He's just been dominant since then and really didn't pitch that poorly in that inning. Giants scratched across a run in the first. Cardinals a run in the second and 3 in the 6th inning.
Ricky, how about you? You know, in Kyle Loesch's first start, you remember he was sailed along brilliantly for 5 innings. The 6th inning, he got a couple balls up, allowed all 4 runs, and then he got things back under control and pitched a shutout 7th. But play those little mental games when you know you had trouble in the 6th. You go out there and you say, okay, I got to really bear down now. That's where I had problems that frame last time, and to make sure it's not going to become a habit.
Yeah, there are a lot of mental games you play in the midst of a long start, just trying to, simplify it. Chris Carpenter likes to talk about taking everything one pitch at a time. Can't really think about the game or the inning or even the at-bat. You have to think about the pitch. Again, easier said than done.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind that maybe you've had a problem with a certain hitter or a certain situation, and you've just got to kind of almost ignore that. I mean, almost kid yourself into thinking that can't happen again. I'm just going to make sure this pitch is the right pitch, right location, right velocity.
It is really mentally tough to concentrate every single pitch. That's why years past you would see a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that give up a lot of home runs, but they were solo shots to an 8th place hitter. Just saying, like, here, hit the ball,
3-2 to Terrio is a swing and a miss. Mota strikes out Ryan Terrio, and we're 1 down in the 7th. Also had a coach in the minor leagues that used to say, like you, Al, I did some starting and some relieving both, but as a starter, the mantra that the coach would tell you is, hey, you have to concentrate 1 day a week. That's it. And it's just for 2 hours. How hard can that be? And some pitchers become relievers because they can't do that for that prolonged period of time.
Go out there and
Jeff Lottie's an example of that. Yeah, former teammate. Had some great years out of the Cardinal bullpen. Whitey Herzog realized that he just can't make it as a starter. He'd have that one bad inning where he'd lose it, and then the emotions and the mind would take him somewhere else, and he'd say, I want that energy out of the bullpen. Just let him pitch 10 to 12 pitches in a game, and I think I can get something special out of it. Line drive to right, base hit. Colby Rasmus with his first hit of the afternoon, but he continues to swing a hot bat.
There's a guy in the Hall of Fame that pitched here in the Bay Area that noted as a reliever, but early in his career was a starter. But he would get so nervous as a starting pitcher that they literally, he was in the five-man rotation, but they told him he wasn't. Just every 5th day he ended up starting because he would just worry about it those 4 days leading up to his start.
Albert Pujols, 0 for 3. Does the slump end here? Rasmus the runner at first. Here goes Rasmus. Pitch is high, and Rasmus steals the base easily. Pretty good jump. Long delivery home by Guillermo Mota.
And we've seen a lot of runners running the head of Albert Pujols. And you almost wonder, is it okay to get the guy in scoring position? Is it to keep Albert from hitting into another double play? But it's just something that you were not accustomed to seeing a guy run ahead when Albert's hitting for 10 years.
Now in scoring position for Pujols, and fouls that ball off of his foot.
Now when you are struggling to score runs and you've hit into a ton of double plays, you send that runner trying to avoid it. But in this case, Kobe steals his first base of the year and with plenty. And now he's out there in scoring position for Albert.
And right or wrong on the strategy, it's good to see Colby get a good jump.
And I think now, too, with the presence of Holiday hitting behind, they don't just go ahead and put Albert on with first base open. A lot of things that change the strategy of a ball game, just having Holiday back in the lineup.
Hitters count 2-1 on Albert. First base is open. Rasmus the runner at second. 1 out in the Cardinal 7th. The pitch hit the center field, and this will stay in the ballpark. Deep center field. Rowan's got a good arm, but he can't throw out Colby Rasmus from there, who advances to third. Albert didn't quite get that on the screws. And Colby Rasmus on the fly ball is safe at third. Safe and secure, New York Life.
Ball well, but it's a big ballpark, and Albert 0 for 4. Maybe trying to hit the ball up the middle a little more. A couple ground balls to shortstop and 2 fly balls to center.
Even though you see that batting average of Albert, I still think you've got Guillermo Mota on the mound saying, "Whew, I got through Pujols."
No doubt.
Strike 1 to Matt Holliday. Holliday has walked twice. Made a nice play in left field. Scored a run. He's had an impact on this game.
He has an impact just psychologically being in the lineup. You know that he has the ability, one swing, he can put a crooked number on the board.
Big swing from Holliday. Comes up empty.
Look at that swing there, and he can withstand that swing. Those stitches are tight.
No bunting there.
He's not feeling for it, right?
Hits the ball down very well. That pitch down, base hit to right field. RBI for Matt Holliday, and the Cardinals lead 5-1.
His 3rd RBI of the young season, playing in Holliday's only 2nd game. Extra insurance run, 4-run lead now.
Colby Rasmus is now safe at home. Safe and secure, New York Life, on the RBI base hit from Holliday. Alan Craig takes strike 1. Craig has doubled, popped out, and walked. Scored 2 of the Cardinal runs. And the Cardinals, not to make it sound like a negative, but I'm going to do it anyway, feel like they have a week's worth of runs here this afternoon. Short lead by Holliday. He's not going anywhere.
As trouble as the Cardinals have had scoring runs, they are still not the worst in baseball. Tampa Bay just can't get off. They're average about a little over one run a game.
Hitting about 180 as a team. Only team in baseball with less RBIs than the Cardinals. The 0-2 low. We should also mention Nick Punto is starting to do baseball-related activities. He's on the disabled list. He's down in Jupiter working out with the Extended Spring Club. They have yet to play the Extended Spring games, but he should start getting into some inter-squad games and some more live pitching this week, according to John Vooch. And the Cardinals could use him.
I was during spring training. I was talking with the Detroit Tigers brain to us, Leland and company, and Nick walked over towards them, and these guys all just, every coach is there. Boy, you look great in red. You look great in red. I don't want to see you anymore. And that glove. He just raved about his ability to field. He'll be a big part of the Cardinals as a super utility man. Maybe not going to hit a bunch, but they say
270, 280.
He'll save a lot of runs and just can play all the positions.
Holliday will be running on the pitch. Belt playing behind him at first base. Dave McKay will let him know if Belt sneaks in behind him. 3-2 the count to Alan Craig. Swing and a miss. Moda fans 2 in the inning, but gives up another Cardinal run. They lead going into the bottom of the 7th. Next time you want to catch a Cardinals game, head to StubHub, where you'll find the seats you want and the freedom to choose where you want to sit. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Loesch having a very good afternoon here in San Francisco. Giants hoping for a sweep here today. 2 dramatic wins. First 2 games of the season series, but Kyle Loesch has been outstanding. Good changeup. Low pitch count for Kyle Loesch, and he's really handled Fontenot at the beginning of the lineup, striking him out 3 times. Just a very good performance for the Cardinal right-hander.
Well, Ricky, he's only allowed 3 hits. The last one was an infield hit back in the 3rd inning, the other 2 in the 1st. He's retired 10 in a row in 16 of his last 17 batters faced. Dominant.
And nice to get some offense.
And he's got some offensive support. Ball club playing a nice little easy game here. Everything kind of settling in the right way. Now, can you just keep on adding on? Every out here, and the starting pitcher going 6+, just really takes a burden off that bullpen.
You might say the only thing left is to close the sale, Al.
Well, there's 9 big outs to go, and we've seen that the 9th of those outs has been very elusive in this series, but just go out there and execute. He has really changed speeds well. Every time he's kept the ball down, he's gotten a very positive result.
And working ahead of Pablo Sandoval is Kyle Loesch here in the 7th inning. Sandoval's 1 for 2.
Once again, Ricky, he has not walked a man. He did not walk a man in 24 innings in the spring. Zito walked 5 in this ball game. Got him in trouble. And when you can avoid those free passes, you're working ahead in the count. Things are so much easier.
He's in on Sandoval with a cutter. Jams him, pops it up. Rasmus calls for it and makes the play. I also have to give some credit to the Cardinal catcher here this afternoon, Gerald Laird. They seem to be working very well together, and he asked for that pitch inside on Sandoval.
Well, when I was talking about Punto and the Detroit coaches talking about him, they also were raving about Gerald Laird, what a good guy he was. Felt that he was a much better hitter than what he showed last year. Strong recommendation from Jim Leland helped bring Gerald Laird to the Cardinals. And I think they just are very happy. They love Jason LaRue and everything that he provided for the Cardinals the last 3 years, and Gerald's going to be much in that department.
Tough hop, handled by Schumacher. And he throws out Rowan.
Old-fashioned baseball. Square up to that ball. Takes a bad hop, you still have a chance to knock it down, or in this case, makes an adjustment. Little very important crow hop there to get your feet back under control, and a nice, it could have been a very difficult play, made it look very easy.
Perfect example how if you start low, you can still come up with your glove.
Yeah. Always
go the other way.
Yeah, always put that glove down because you can come up. It's easy to make the adjustment. You start that glove knee high, then you don't know if you're going to go down with it or up, and you're caught in between. And boy, just the right way to play it. Square up to that ball. See so many infielders play it to the side.
12 straight now retired for Kyle Loesch. And 18 out of the last 19 batters. Well, good to see him healthy, pitching well, throwing strikes.
Rare count where he's fallen behind. It's 2-0.
Fly ball to right field. This will stay in the ballpark. Alan Craig camped under it. Another 1-2-3 inning for Kyle Loesch. We've made it through 7 with the Cardinals on top. Beautiful San Francisco. Great place to paint. Great place to watch a ball game. At the foot of the Golden Gate Bridge here in San Francisco, Kyle Loesch has been outstanding here at AT&T Park. 7 innings of work for him, just 3 hits, and he's enjoying a 5-1 lead. Cardinals batting in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, Kyle deserves it after the 2 punishing years due to injury after winning 15 games for the Cardinals 3 years ago. David Freese, nice to see him contribute 2 for 3. Couple RBIs. The out he made today was a line drive to left.
And this ball hit off the end of the bat to left, but it's carrying over the head of Huff, and it's gone. David Freese with his first home run of the season, as that ball carried to left field.
Did I see what I thought I saw? That Huff, when he got up against the wall, put his hands over his head. Jumping on the first pitch,
Off
slider.
the end of the bat.
Yeah, got it up into the wind. And I thought I saw Aubrey Huff like lose sight of the ball and got up around the wall and put his hands over his head, protecting it. But it was over the wall.
You don't see that very often.
I mean, you talk about a guy fighting it. Watch Aubrey Huff. He's looking straight up there. He doesn't have his glasses down. And look at the last second. He puts his self-defense. I've never seen that.
I don't think I have either.
I've seen Kevin Mitchell take one off his head.
And Canseco, too, did it once. In fact, I saw Canseco get hit in the top of the head and the ball went over the fence.
Barry Bonds did that in St. Louis also. Kevin. Yeah. But, oh boy, I guess that does tell you that I'm not seeing it.
That ball did not sound solid off the bat of David Freese. It just continued to carry. The wind's blowing out to left field.
During the day in California, the ball will travel much better. Where the cool California night air, it'll get ball knocked down almost like a humid, not a humidity, but moisture in the air, kind of making it heavy and dewy, and knock balls down. But that ball.
Line drive to center field. Aaron Rowan takes care of Gerald Laird for out number 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Loesch will hit. 2 outs, nobody on in the 8th inning. Enjoying quite a bit of run support here this afternoon. Beautiful day for baseball. Temperatures game time right at 56 degrees. Such a comfortable ballpark, and Al, I still can't believe the beautiful sights we get to see from our vantage point here.
This is
sailboats.
Pittsburgh, 2 of the prettiest downtown skyline in Pittsburgh, and here looking at the bay over towards Oakland. Picturesque, and not only is Kyle pitched so well today, but he's hitless over 3, but he's had a couple tough at bats. Hit the ball well. Always loved coming to San Francisco because of the great restaurants, the attractions, an international city, but now the baseball experience is great too.
Sure is.
As a pitcher, I didn't mind pitching in Candlestick because it was so cold and I was comfortable. Hitters didn't want to be jammed there, but many times the conditions watching the game were just really unbearable.
It's amazing the number of fans that would actually come out to games at Old Candlestick Park. I mean, I many times would wonder why anybody would watch a game.
I remember Whitey saying one time that the Giant fans are the best fans because they would endure those conditions. Why?
And the amenities of that ballpark weren't very good. The bullpen, the visiting bullpen, was over the left field fence at Old Candlestick Park, but the clubhouse was way down the right field line. Was not attached to the dugout, so you'd have to go back and forth if you wanted to get something extra during a game, and it's just very inconvenient for the visiting team.
Just couldn't get warm enough. They'd actually literally have to water down the infield. 7th inning, keep the dust down.
Base hit, Kyle Loesch.
He can do it all today.
He said he swung the bat well. Pretty good effort from Mota here in terms of saving the Giants bullpen.
Of course, about right now, we need to talk a little more about Kyle Loesch, especially with Adam Wainwright at home, because Kyle says he's definitely the best golfer on the team.
Yeah, he says Wainwright's not overrated.
Oh, Wainwright totally overrated, afraid to challenge him, won't play him enough times.
Did he say he was scared?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he said. I thought that's what I heard. Yeah. I'm not sure,
but it seemed like he was scared.
Watch out. Line drive up the middle. That almost got Mota.
Mota's
second hit. Woo. Second hit of the afternoon for Ryan Theriot, and that one nearly took out a pitcher.
And Mota's 6'6". Good thing he's not 6'7".
And good thing he has good reflexes. And have a pitching change. Bruce Bochy out to the mound. Mota's day is through. Aubrey Huff didn't want to catch that home run. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the smooth Busch beer and easy drinking Busch Light. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by AT&T. Willie McCovey statue. One of 5 statues here at the ballpark. Great Giant players of all time here at the ballpark this afternoon. The Giants trailing the Cardinals, swing and a miss. Colby Rasmus, the new Giant hurler. Our Chevy's call to the bullpen is Jeremy Affeldt.
Affeldt, his second season with the Giants, a very good one, as he was named the National League Setup Man of the Year.
Rasmus grounds to the first baseman belt, and Affeldt gets out of the 8th inning for the Giants, but the Cardinals pick up another run. David Freese, his 3rd hit of the afternoon, a home run to left. Cardinals lead 6-1. They've out hit the Giants 11-3. Bottom of the 8th inning on Fox Sports Midwest from San Francisco. It's been all Cardinals so far. Bottom of the order for the Giants against Kyle Loesch, who has been outstanding. An infield hit in the 3rd inning, the last time a Giant has reached base. 10 straight batters retired by Loesch. Make that 13. Brandon Belt has bounced out twice. Many folks consider him a Rookie of the Year candidate. We've yet to see the offense from him in this series. Batting average down to 167. Just one minor league season under his belt, you might say.
I think he's really here because of their Cody Ross on the disabled list, and the mere fact that he is such a good defensive first baseman. He's already saved a lot of errant throws, particularly from Tejada.
That's right. Good to see Doug Harvey and John Miller together in the booth next to us earlier in the game. Both of them going into the Hall of Fame at the same time.
Harvey, he was umpiring the game. He knew who was in control.
Oh yeah.
Nicknamed by the players.
John Miller on the left.
What was Doug Harvey's nickname?
The Lord. Everybody called him the Lord because he was never wrong.
About that, the longest outing since May 23rd, 09. Is really a firm indication that he's just healthy. And that was the one thing in his last outing. It didn't go the way he wanted it. First 5 innings were spectacular. Gave up 4 runs in the 6th inning. Pitched 7 innings of that ball game, but he knew he was healthy. And he knew that he made some mistakes. The ball had gotten up, or he wanted to keep it down, and was hurt by that. But you give up 4 runs, you lose the ball game. It's hard to be too excited, but inside he really was, and rightfully so.
1-1 is fouled off. Well, hopefully the Cardinals will do a little celebrating after this game. It's been a week-long celebration, or a weekend-long celebration for the Giants, celebrating their World Series championship of last year. Got a lot of pomp and circumstance around our games here this weekend, and they certainly deserve that.
And Bruce Bochy was very concerned about this weekend, that with all the celebration, he didn't want to, he wanted them to each and everyone enjoy it, but remember, you got to go play baseball.
They certainly did in game 1 and 2.
With 2 wins in dramatic fashion. They did remember.
Pop up right in front. That's going to be tough, and the ball drops. You can see that one coming. Laird battled that one the whole time.
You watch this. Where's your first baseman and third baseman? Loesch is the cop. He tells him, look up, but Albert comes in. Freese does not move at all. You have to, on a ball that goes up here, everyone's got to pay attention. That is so tough for the catcher that's looking straight up. Much easier for the corner players to come in and catch that ball. They get a better look and a better angle. Very difficult for the catcher to look up. It's a ball that should be made, but you need a little help.
Yeah, you'd have to say that was David Freese's ball by the time it blew back onto the field.
Yes, it was. And David Freese never moved. Those are little things that the Cardinals have just forgot about, just little routine things.
And it's followed by a base hit to right.
Don't take anything for granted.
That was Mark DeRosa pinch hitting for Affeldt.
Carroll there trying to slow down Kyle Loesch, and the bullpen activity. Mott and Trevor Miller warming up. What you hope was going to be a real easy and another efficient inning. Now it gets things a little curious. And remember, you're still, the Cardinals don't want, but in the back of their mind is still lingering what's happened in the first 2 games of this series.
And if you're Kyle Loesch, you've got to focus right here. Don't start thinking bad thoughts. Just keep making good pitches. He's made a ton to Fontenot. Strike 1 to him. He struck him out 3 times. Loesch with 5 strikeouts on the afternoon. Still has not issued a walk. Pitch count now at 92.
A generous base hit for Whiteside, right? Until they scored that.
Boy, I have E2 in my book. Line drive to left. And it's handled by Matt Holliday. That was called a base hit.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to have to maintain my focus now, Al, because now I'm mad.
Now you're mad.
I mean, seriously, Al, is that a base hit? No.
That's why I had to do 3 more double takes to look and see no errors up there, and then counted the 5 hits. 2 of them have been infield hits, and that extremely generous. But Kyle's got 2 outs. Pitch around it.
You say extremely generous. I say criminal.
Where's Alcatraz when we need it?
I'm sure there's a few official scorers over there. Umpire or 2, reliever or 2. 1-0 to Sanchez. Giants with 2 runners aboard, threatening here in the 8th inning. Sanchez 2 for 3 against Lowe. One of the few Giant batters here this afternoon who's looking comfortable at the plate against Lowe. One of those was an infield hit, but he also had a base hit in the first inning and has scored the lone Giant run.
The one thing you know, he's not going to hit the ball rarely an extra base, but hit it hard, and there's a nice play.
And he beats Whiteside to the bag. That's David Freese on the backhand. Loesch gets out of it. Top of the 9th inning, 6-1 Cardinals. Nothing but good news here in San Francisco. You know, when you play at this ballpark, Al, you have to know the elements.
You really do, and everybody's got to converge on this ball. David Freese doesn't. Look where that ball ends up. Scored a base hit, really put Loesch in a little tough spot. But now here's another guy that is accustomed to playing here. A high sky. You see the outfielder's glove. You look into the H-web. You have your glasses down. You look in there to kind of shield the sun a little bit more and protect you.
Pujols pops this one up down the right field line, and it is dropped by Brandon Belt. Talk about fighting the wind. Mike Matheny talked about it in the pregame. We've seen some pop-ups that have really been tough to handle, and Brandon Belt is known to be very sure-handed.
And they've been very generous to the rookie and gave him no play, meaning no error.
That is an error.
There is an error also. You're exactly right.
The official scorer is not trying today.
Come on, this is the big leagues. Right in the middle of your glove, all you have to do is squeeze it. And it's a difficult play, but you're the best in the world.
A difficult slider to hit from the new Giant Romo.
Been a very, very solid reliever. In his first 3 games, he has allowed 2 inherited runners to score, but he is a very integral part of an outstanding bullpen.
And Albert Pujols is down on strikes. Fastball in on the hands from Romo. Al, I've noticed that I've had much less graciousness towards official scorers over the year than I have umpires. You know, umpires, I kind of just give them the benefit of the doubt, say, you know, they're humans, they're trying, but boy, official scorers get on that last nerve. Do I need a little help, Al? Maybe a little counseling?
Ricky, when you ask me whether you need counseling, you must.
Good point.
Which side do you want me to be on? The couch, I mean.
We need a room with 2 couches, don't we?
Oh, I've got some experience in that department.
42,092 people here at the ballpark today, including the official score. No, he's probably not counted in that, is he?
Missing a good game.
I'm sure he's a nice man.
You know, my philosophy now is everything goes against the pitcher. Because if you call an error on a player, the batter's mad and the fielder's mad.
And their agent.
So if you call it a base hit, it's 2 against 1. The fielder's happy, the batter's happy, and the pitcher's mad.
And how many managers of clubs were ex-pitchers? Not very many.
Not very many.
So the lobbying goes in the other direction. 3-0 now, 3-1 to Matt Holliday, who's walked twice.
Ricky,
RBI single.
You know, I spent 99.9% of my career outside of the dugout, you know, down in the bullpen area. But in my era, if a manager or a player, a coach would have called an official score to try to change a play, it would have been ridiculed and laughed at by their teammates. Today, that happens frequently. And I think sometimes official scorers just get tired of battling it.
Full count to Matt Holliday. Craig will hit next. Giants play deep, all three outfield positions. And there's a strike on the outside corner, and Romo has struck out Pujols and Holiday to start the 9th inning.
It's a good one, and Matt knew it. Just a perfect pitch. Tailing right back to the corner, but appeared a ball. He's ready to stake ball 4, but he knew that, yep, it came back and got the corner.
Saw an interesting story on Romo when he was in college. His college coach took him out of a game where he was about to break the school record for strikeouts because he kind of had an attitude issue and was still developing as a player, learning how to play the game right. The coach took him out of the game so he wouldn't break the record, and he said, "You don't deserve the chance." And you wonder if that has helped him in his career learn how to act more professionally and control some of his emotions.
Well, you would hope you learn from that. Tough love, but if you have the right attitude and you say, you know what, I was being disrespectful, I wasn't handling this right, and I'd rather have records in the big leagues than in college anyway.
Good point.
Trevor Miller is going to get a shot at a save opportunity. Excuse me, not a save opportunity, 6-1, but finish a game off.
Close one out. Get that feeling of what it's like to finish a game.
That's always important. Beat young pitchers or even veterans to go out there and get those handshakes.
Good swing, Alan Craig. Cardinals hoping to go 3-6. 1-2 on this road trip.
I will be with you next weekend in Los Angeles. What will their record be then?
Be a good question. Arizona Diamondbacks should be a team that the Cardinals can compete with. The club's a little short this year. Pitching matchups, we'll tell you a little bit about that. Kyle McClellan and Barry Enright in game 1, and Carpenter and Armando Galarraga, you remember that name, of almost perfect game fame. And Jake Westbrook will pitch the game on Wednesday against Ian Kennedy. Crowd hoping that Romo can strike out the side. The 3-2. The ball driven into right center field. Shearholtz. And we go to the bottom of the 9th. Trevor Miller getting loose for the Redbirds.
A 6-1 Cardinal lead as we go to the bottom of the 9th in San Francisco. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery, Cardinals Live. Kyle Loesch dominates. They'll break it down. Mike Matheny and Pep Harris back in studio. A look at the only Cards team to start the season by dropping 3 straight series and still made the postseason. All that and more coming up after the game. Trevor Miller on to pitch for the Cards, and we go back to the booth. And Rick and Al, guys.
Thanks, Kat. Look forward to the post-game show. And Trevor Miller does take over for Tony La Russa in the 9th, and he faces Aubrey Huff, Sandoval, and Aaron Rowan. So far, so good for Trevor Miller this season. Cardinals trying to close this one out, seal the deal. Outstanding performance by Kyle Loesch. Cardinals with a double switch. John Jay takes over in left field. He'll bat 9th, and Trevor Miller will be in Matt Holliday's spot. The line on Kyle Loesch, 8 innings, 5 hits, says the official score. 1 run, no walks, and 5 strikeouts.
Trevor was outstanding. Had a good offensive game, good defense, but all around contest for the Cardinals if they close it out here in the 9th.
Hayes' pregame guest. You get to close out the game. That's how it works. Swing and a miss. And he strikes out Huff for out number 1 here in the 9th inning. It's time for our Budweiser Player of the Game, and we're going to give it to David Freese, a 3-for-4 afternoon, including a couple of extra base hits, 3 RBIs, and a home run.
That's what we're accustomed to seeing David Freese, being an RBI machine. Nice to see that Holiday come back to the lineup. Everything's kind of settled down. It all started with a great pitching performance. Sets the tone, doesn't it? That starting pitching.
The 6 out of 9 quality starts now for the Redbirds. Line drive to right. And the Giants down to their last out.
Not only 6 out of 9, Rick, but it was just really one bad starting performance. It is the only game, there was only one game that this Cardinal team was not really in. And that was the second game of the season, Saturday afternoon, Westbrook start. Every game since then, they've had a chance to win, and obviously with 3 games with blown saves, when you're trying to get the final out for a victory, you know, this team could have a much better record. Not saying it played up to that ability, but with a little bit of luck, they could, you know, be 500 or better.
There's a looping ball to center field, and it is not played by the center fielder Rasmus on the dive, and it'll be a 2-out double for Aaron Rowan. Tough attempt there for Colby.
How about a nice play by Alan Craig as Colby got to that ball off his glove, deflected it, and Alan Craig backing it up, changed direction, and spears that ball. Keeps it from getting by him and holding it just to it. Watch Colby right here, goes off his glove, but look at Alan Craig who's backing it up. Get a better look here. Watch this ball goes this way, and Alan Craig snares it to keep it from going all the way to the wall.
I, for one, happy that Aaron Rowan wasn't hitting with the winning run on second base for a change.
Correct.
A little bit easier in a 6-1 game in the 9th inning, but still one more out to get for the Cardinals, and they're hoping it'll be Nate Shearholtz. Trevor Miller trying to close it out.
And of course, the elusive 27th out has been tough to come by for the Cardinals as Jason Mott begins warming up again.
Another left-hander on deck in Brandon Belt.
You got Tejada, you got Pat Burrell, Posey. Got some power on that bench, but
ground ball to the right side. Pujols to Trevor Miller, and the Cardinals take the 3rd game here in San Francisco, avoiding the sweep. Tony La Russa high fives in the dugout as the Cardinals find some offense here this afternoon. Time of game 2 hours 32 minutes. All good news from San Francisco. Post game is coming up next.
Game is over, and that's what it's like to have witnessed a Cardinal victory on the road. To Mike Matheny and I are ready to break it all down on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. You said the offense would come around, and your click to pick was the guy who came through, David Freese.
That's exactly right. We needed somebody to step up and do it for us here, and then David did it, and I think that's the story. Obviously, having the good pitching helps, but getting somebody to launch that offense, get them started, that's the story of the day.
Certainly was. More from Mike coming up. The Cardinals had left their hearts in San Francisco the last 2 nights. Could they be the Heartbreakers in Game 3 against the defending World Series champions? And they are. Plus, Matt Holliday back in the cleanup spot for the Redbirds. How important is he to the Cardinals lineup? We'll go inside the number. Plus, it's back to San Fran for player reaction. We'll also get Tony La Russa's post-game thoughts on the win. And is there historical precedent for the Cardinals to turn it around? We'll let you know. Sunday is game day on Fox Sports Midwest, and Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, the post-game edition, Coming up next.